Welcome to our podcast, Inspiring Living with me, Mark Candelaria. I'm an architect, blogger, traveler, chef, father, and husband. I'm the founder and now partner of a fabulous 25-person architecture firm specializing in high-end residential architecture, designing amazing homes across the country. We have hosted tours to Italy, Spain, and now Napa over the last 20 years, and in the course of all this, I have met a lot of interesting people who truly inspire me. Our podcast is about all the opportunities that are right there in front of us to inspire living. Yes, we will talk about architecture and design, but every week we will venture into all sorts of topics that will inspire you, teach you, and motivate you to inspire living every day. My guests will include a wide gamut of amazing people, from those in the design industry to clients to real estate professionals, chefs, artists, sports figures, and philanthropists, and people who just flat out get it. Sit back and enjoy, and let's have some fun exploring all the opportunities that are there just waiting for us. Please subscribe and get ready to be inspired every week. Okay, as my dad says, here we go. Okay, today we are doing a pod swap. Yes, you heard it here first. My podcast today on Inspiring Living is featuring the amazing and definitely iconic Renee Dee of Iconic Life Digital Magazine. And at the same time, her podcast, Iconic Hour, is featuring her interview with me. Yes, we did these interviews on the same day on a Sunday afternoon just before the holidays at my office, and boy, we had a good time. It was very interesting interviewing each other and then literally switching roles to get deep into each other's lives, businesses, and opportunities and challenges we have both faced in this adventure we call life. So stay tuned for that, and make sure you check out her podcast today to get some more juicy tidbits on my journey. Because Inspiring Living is all about the people and the organizations that inspire us, we are excited to have Monogram Appliances as one of our new sponsors. Anytime we do a new kitchen or a kitchen remodel, Monogram Appliances are what we recommend to our client. Their appliances are the definition of luxury, meticulously detailed using the finest materials and an ownership experience that is second to none. Monogram is always thinking ahead and inspiring and elevating the kitchen experience. Because at Monogram, they don't just elevate one thing, they elevate everything. Okay, just a few announcements. I want to thank all of those who have placed bids on our auction of 30 spots for our private sunset cocktail hour and dinner at the famed Frank Lloyd Wright Taliesin West tomorrow night. We filled all 30 spots, and we have an amazing group coming and sharing this evening with us. So thank you for your kind and generous donations to the Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation. We are proud to bring more awareness to this true treasure right here in our valley. Our 2020 Candelaria Design tours are filling nicely. Napa in April is completely sold out. We are starting to fill our June Spain tour featuring Madrid, Cordoba, and San Sebastian. All of the details are on our website for this tour. Now, we drew a winner from our subscribes for this trip, but I don't think he is going to be able to join us. So I'll know more in the next days ahead, but we may be drawing a new name to join us on this June tour. So I tell you what, give us a review and or subscribe and screenshot it, send it our way, and we will give you a chance to join us with us picking up the airfare and the hotels for this tour. So it's definitely a smoking deal. Give us the subscribes, and let's go have some fun in Spain. Finally, our 2020 Italy tour is coming together, and we'll be posting the details on that tour in the next few days on our website. There will be two ways to join us. Our full 2-week tour from September 30th through October 14th, featuring Florence, Umbria, Tuscany, and finally Lake Como, or you can just do the Lake Como leg from October 10th through October 16th, where we will be celebrating my 60th birthday right there at the incredible Villa d'Este. So that will be amazing, and I'm so looking forward to that week. So definitely get us an email, get us some info, and we will get you set to go to Italy. Okay, so finally check out our entries and give us your vote for 3 homes we have entered in this year's Luxe Magazine Red Awards. We have 3 beautiful homes, a contemporary, a traditional, and a renovation entered. So go check that out. We'll add the link in our show notes and website. Okay, so let's get going with our pod swap with Renee Dee. All right, I have a very fun podcast. I've been looking forward to this. We're doing dual podcasts, by the way. So my podcast is my interview that she did with me will kind of simultaneously play on her platform, and this interview that I'm going to do with Renee Dee will play on my platform.
We're doing a pod swap.
We're doing a pod swap. That's what we're going to call it. So I've got Renee Dee. She's the founder and publisher of Iconic Life magazine, which we are a big participant of. which started in 2018 and celebrates the art of living beautifully with features on exceptional design, architecture, style, cuisine, travel, and living your best life. Before that, she has been engaged in many ventures and endeavors, including a marketing agency here in Arizona and California, and she was the founder and publisher of Arizona Foothills Magazine in 1996. She's a graduate of Drake University and received many awards and honors along the way. So I know that despite all of our professional challenges and accomplishments, we have this little thing that we call life that we all go through, right?
Yep.
And life kind of gets in the way sometimes.
It's a doozy.
Yeah, so we'll get into that. So, okay, so welcome. I'm glad you're here. We're having a fun afternoon, getting to know each other at a little deeper level. Isn't that what's great about these podcasts? We were just talking about it.
Loving it. Yeah, I love it. You know, it's really cool because even if we had countless dinners, we probably wouldn't get into the depth of some of the things that we've been talking about. So I really enjoyed my interview with you and learned some great new things about you.
Yeah, and I think what's neat about the whole podcast platform is it's not just us learning from each other. We're sharing it simultaneously, so everyone gets to participate in it in some way.
Yeah.
So I love listening to podcasts. I don't know about you.
I love them.
I'm a podcast nutball.
Yeah.
And it's become my new way of like when I'm in the car and driving, I just catch up on all my podcasts.
Oh, me too. And you know what? I'm probably safer now because I'm not trying to do 20 million things when I'm driving, and I'm not talking on the phone anymore either.
Yeah, I'm just listening. I'm focused in on that. So it's awesome. Okay, so tell us what's going on with Iconic Life. We are big fans of it.
Thank you.
We've been involved in some amazing events that you've put together, which we can go into. So give us the rundown of what's going on with Iconic Life.
Oh, gosh, things are going great with Iconic Life. So on March 19th, we will hit our 2-year anniversary, and Iconic Life is a digital luxury lifestyle magazine. And so we are not printing our magazine. We're available online at iconiclife.com. And what's going on is constant evolution. And so year 1 was great. I've made a lot of changes in year 2, which I'm extraordinarily excited about, really looking at ways to drive the kind of audience that we're looking to drive to our platform, but even more delivering the stories that I think people really want to hear. And part of that is the work that you and I are doing together. Mm-hmm. So a couple months ago, you've been amazingly supportive, which I appreciate so much.
And vice versa.
Well, I love the collaboration, really. So one night I'm thinking, gosh, what could we call Mark's column? And we thought about marketecture, and I just love it. So I texted you and I said, hey, what do you think about marketecture? And you said, I'm all in. And so now Mark, among his other 100 things that he does every single week, 1,000 things he does every week, is writing for Iconic Life, sharing the stories of your amazing travels and journeys from around the world. And so really enjoying those stories. So we'll link all of that. We'll give you links for your podcast too, so people can get back to those. But those stories are great. Yeah,
and you've got some great supporters. I know Anita Lang is big time with you, and CP's doing some stuff with you. So I mean, you got some good people that you're involved with. Yeah, super supportive.
Yep, Anita was there literally almost on day 1, and so she's been great. We've been working on a bunch of projects together, but. What's really been great with Iconic Life is, as this is my second publication, it has been really fun to be working with friends from before and making some new friends too. But it's been really an incredible journey. And really with Iconic Life, to me, this is so exactly what I want to do. Our mantra is live beautifully. And so all I'm thinking about is writing stories to share with my readers how to live a beautiful life. And people ask me, how do you come up with all that content? I'm like, you guys have no idea how much content I have. I'm curating content and putting out a fraction of what I can think of.
That's amazing.
So I love it.
Your content it's fun to read and it's beautiful to look at. So
thank you.
I think the combination is real engaging, and I always look forward to them. So I think I'm glad we're a part of it, but I love seeing the diverse topics and things that you cover, from jewelry to cars to travel to architecture. I mean, it's a little bit of everything.
We did a story on the prosciutto whisperer. Yeah. And everybody's like, we're writing a whole story on prosciutto? I said, we are right. And we've got a cool story about Wagyu beef that's coming up in March.
See, I love
that. Fascinating. Yeah. I know, the topic that you like. We write about wine a lot. Floral design, architecture, as you know, is one of my favorites.
Yep.
But just like you, I also have an amazing team. And so it's really important to me that the magazine is really beautiful, and I love to curate beautiful images, but Laura on my team is doing a killer job of managing that and doing the design and selecting and editing the images, and it looks beautiful.
Yeah, so I'm going to get back to some of that towards the end, because I'm really curious, because you're purely digital. I mean, you're not printing anything.
No, nothing.
Yeah, so I want to talk about that a little bit later, and how you've transcended what was, Foothills Magazine, which was a printed publication,
Yep.
and some digital, to now what is just purely digital.
Yep.
Right? So, okay, so let's back up. How did Renee Dee end up right here in my conference room? From where did you grow up? Where are you from?
Oh my gosh, I'm from Chicago.
Okay.
Grew up in Chicago, and Midwestern girl, lived in the burbs. Dad transferred to Marietta, Georgia for a couple years. So from like 2nd grade to 7th grade, I was in the South, which was really fun to move back to Chicago after that and come back with a Southern accent.
Okay. See, I've always seen that little tinge of that.
So my signature phrase is "Hey there," which is so Southern because they don't say hi, they say "Hey." So that's Southern.
Right. How y'all doing?
How y'all doing?
That's right.
But I loved it down there. But being from Chicago, I just super identified with that. And then went to school at Drake University in Iowa.
Okay.
And a lot of the Chicago kids were heading off to Iowa to go to school. And I remember thinking I would never, ever, ever stay in this place ever after I graduated. So when I graduated, I had some meaningful internships when I was there.
Yep.
I called up my mom and I said, "Hey, so I'm going to stay in Iowa." And she goes, "Oh, honey, that's hilarious. That's so funny. Hey, when do we need to come get you?" I said, No, I'm staying." She goes, "Yeah, that's really funny." She goes, "You're joking." I'm like, "No, I'm actually staying." And that was kind of the launch of the professional side. But yeah, I grew up in Chicago.
Huh. So then where did you go from there? I mean, how did you move all the way to Arizona? How'd you end up here?
Oh, so I'm going to see if I can give this a little bit of an abbreviated version. But the how I ended up in Iowa tells you how I ended up in Arizona.
Okay.
And so when I knew when I was in high school, a lot of kids don't know what they want to do.
Right.
For some reason, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be in journalism. I was super clear about that. So when I was looking at schools, I was looking at Marquette and Butler and Drake University. And how I got to Drake was Better Homes and Gardens magazine was located in Des Moines, Iowa. It was the only it was actually at that time the biggest circulation magazine around. Better Homes and Gardens had 8 million circulation. And I thought, when I graduate, so I was kind of, that Stephen Covey principle, begin with the end in mind.
Yep.
When I graduate from Butler or Marquette, me and another 1 million young ladies are all going to head off to New York to forge their careers in magazines. And I thought, you know what? I'll never make it. I'm not that, at the time, I'm not that aggressive. So I thought, I won't make it. But then I thought, you know what? How many of those young ladies in journalism are going to go work for Better Homes and Gardens magazine in Des Moines, Iowa?
Right.
So I bet I could shortcut this and get into a national magazine by going to Drake University, which was all of 20 minutes from Meredith Corporation. And indeed, that's actually what happened. So I went to school at Drake and then worked for Iowa Power, the electric company.
Yep. Okay.
And I practically stalked the people at Meredith. I mean, stalked big time. Like I found who my potential future boss was, and I got on every little junior committee you could. Worked at Meredith for about 3 years in the magazine PR side. And at that time it was kind of funny. I was making like $24,000 a year, something like that. And so I talked to my boss and I said, "Gosh, I need more money."
Right.
And he said, "Great news. You're going to get a raise next year and you're going to be making $25,000.
Wow.
And I thought, oh my gosh, I've already been here for 3 years and that's as far as I've gotten. Well, I also had responsibilities at the company with the broadcast company. I traveled with them and I did some writing for them. So I literally went to the head of the broadcasting group and said, "You have got to get me out of here. You got to get me someplace. I need to make some money." And he said, "Well, I could send you to one of the TV stations we own. That would be great." But they were in like Flint, Michigan and Syracuse, New York. And I said, I would be interested in Arizona. And so it took a little bit of a process, but I got hired to be in sales at KPHO TV here in Arizona. So I moved out here, and the first day I was here, I was driving around town, and I thought, what
now, had you
have
ever
I done?
Been here before?
I'd been here like 2 other times on business trips going to the TV station for the work that I did.
Okay.
So I'd only been out here 2 other times before, but I didn't know anybody.
Right.
But I didn't even think about that. So I took the job. I got out here and I thought, what in the world am I doing out here? I don't know anybody. I don't have any family out here. That's
how mine was.
crazy.
Same thing. I didn't know anybody.
Yeah. So it turned out later that everybody moved out here from Chicago. But,
pretty much.
But so I was here on my own working at KPHO TV.
So what year was this?
That had been 1992.
Okay.
October of 1992.
Okay.
I came out here, and I had never sold anything, and so I was on the sales trainee program. And the first week that I was at KPHO TV, my boss got fired.
Wow. Drama right out the gate.
Drama right out of the gate. So I really had to figure out what I was doing, and I had some people in my life that took me aside and said, we need to teach you how to sell, or else you're going to be in huge trouble around here. And funny enough, I think today I feel like that's one of my greatest gifts, something that I do easily. But
you're a good salesperson.
I had no clue back then.
Huh.
No clue.
Interesting. So that's 92. By 96, you started Arizona Foothills.
Yeah, you know what? It went fast.
So that's 4 years. That's like zero time.
It was lightning fast. It was really lightning fast. So I was at KPHO, and then I had this idea that I wanted to start a marketing agency.
Yep.
And because I would go talk to my clients, and I knew that I had room to negotiate, but they would like buy what I had, and I wanted to go, but you should negotiate this. You could get more. So I thought, well, I'm going to be a media buyer of TV, and I'm going to find some clients. The reason I would be a good media buyer is if you sell it, you know how to buy it. So I thought, well, I better educate myself. So then I left there and I went to a radio station because I thought if I sell radio, I'll learn how to buy it. And then I'm going to start an agency, which I did. I worked at a radio station, a little teeny tiny station called the Edge Radio.
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember that it was located 75th Avenue and Camelback? Oh my gosh. I would pull up to the
Well, it was on the edge.
It was on the edge. But this place looked like a rest stop. Like you'd roll into the parking lot. I'm like, is this a trailer or what do we have going here? Anyhow, so I was there like maybe in my third month or whatever. The ceiling collapsed during a rainstorm. And I thought, you know what? This is just not the Renee style. Yeah, this is not what I'm looking for.
Iconic life.
It was not iconic. Yeah. It was not iconic. When you were at your desk, if you wanted to pull away from your desk, you had to get your coworker behind you to like squeeze in so you could get out. So I'm like, you know what? This isn't it. I'm going to start my marketing agency. And so I had about, I think maybe $6,000 my 401k.
Yep.
And I liquidated that. You know, every financial advisor would say that's the worst idea in the world. And I bought a computer and I put a little money off to the side and I started a little agency.
Yep.
And again, through another long story, I ended up picking up Del Webb as a client.
Wow, that's a good start.
It was incredible because that was in the heyday when those guys were spending a ton. And so it was that client that helped me get a bunch of others. Yep. And so that's where that got started.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then I just have to include this because it's real. So while I had my agency, I got married.
Yeah, okay.
And
I was going to try to go down there and figure out how to get you there.
Yep, so I got married in 95.
Okay.
And it was funny. So he was also working in television. And so I said, I am living the dream over here. I'm working from home. I've got this agency. I've got this flexible schedule. It's incredible. I'm working out. I'm hiking. I'm loving my life. And so when we got married, I said, you have got to join me. You've got to get in this business. And he's like, no, I don't know if I want to do this. I've got a really great job in broadcasting. I'm a senior leader and making great money. I said, no. You got to jump off the cliff. Just join me. Get into this business. So this is on a Friday. On Monday, we start working together. So I'm down in my office and I'm wearing flannel pajamas and slippers and my hair's in a ponytail on the top of my head. And I'm at the computer working away with purpose.
Yep.
He walks into my office in our house and he's full suit and tie, black leather shoes, the whole thing. And he looks and he goes, so what do we do?
How do we do this?
Yeah, how do we do this? And I said, well, I've got a lot of stuff to do. You do your thing. He said, well, what is the thing that I do? I said, I think we could use some clients.
Yeah. Get out there and
okay.
beat the streets.
All right. Well, okay, I'll go do that. So he gets home literally that night and he's a little dejected and he looks at me and he goes, I cannot even believe this. And I said, what? He goes, I'm totally unemployed. I can't believe you got me to quit my job. But anyhow, as life would go, things turned out very, very well. Yeah. So I encouraged him that he was really the leader of a fabulous company that was going to grow, and it did. And we got great clients, Jiffy Lube and things like that. And we had a big agency. And then I kind of got bored with that, and we launched a direct mail company. We did coupons and envelopes.
Wow.
And there's so many stories that went with that. And so I designed all the coupons on like PageMaker or something like that. And we sold these coupons, and we ended up being very successful with that, made a lot of money doing that. And I got bored with that again, and I'm like, I need to start a magazine. And he's like, oh, no, why would we do that? We're doing so well with these other things. I'm like, I just have this thing that I need to do, and I really want to get it started. And he said, all right, well, deal. Yep. You go do your thing. I'm going to manage the marketing side, which is doing very well. And we'll see what happens. And it was about a year later that I got the magazine going in such a place that he's like, yeah, I need to get involved in that. And so we did that together for many, many years.
And that magazine took off.
Took off. Yeah, it took off. And it really was, you know what, to give credit where credit is due. We were a good partnership. Mm-hmm. And I think we really crushed it.
It's a lot of hard work, right?
It was a lot of hard work. And you know, a lot of hard work. I think you were doing our pod swap, right? So we've got some of the same stories.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of hard work sometimes is really hard on a marriage.
Yes.
Really hard on a marriage.
Yep.
So ours didn't survive.
Yep.
So about 7 years in, just didn't make it. But we worked really hard, and what we did accomplish was a very successful business.
And you had a son?
Yep, had a son.
Yep.
Just shortly before that.
Okay.
My sweet little Spencer, who's 17 now.
Yeah, it goes fast, doesn't it?
Gosh, it goes so fast.
Yep.
He's such a giant. But anyhow, so when that whole thing kind of fell apart, we had to decide there was no way we were going to work together.
So what year was that, roughly, just to put it in context?
Well, it was kind of a couple years of transition, but ultimately in 2005, he bought me out of the magazine.
Gotcha.
And so he took it over, and I left and literally stayed at home for a couple of years to raise our son.
Yeah.
And so went back and forth, of course, but so I didn't do a lot of substantial work for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then Spencer went off to kindergarten, and bam, I was back into business again. So.
So then, what did you do then? What was your first thing that you kind of bounced back onto?
The first thing I bounced back onto was get back into a marketing agency.
Yeah.
That always seems to be my wheelhouse.
Yep.
And since I had been doing a lot of fundraising, a lot of charitable stuff while I was at home with Spencer. And so I launched a marketing agency, and I had a bunch of clients that I had worked with at the magazine, and a lot of them were home builders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you really think it's 2005, where's this story going?
Yeah. It was good there for a while.
It was good there for a while, and then all of a sudden, I think maybe it was around 2008, I had 5 clients that were all in the home building industry. 3 of them just went out.
Yep.
I'm not going to say who they were, but 3
Yep.
just went out. The other 2, I said, you know what? You need to fire me, and you need to batten down the hatches
Yep.
because I cannot market you through this.
Yeah.
You need to just
Survive,
get lean. And so I shut it down.
Yep.
And then I was doing a little bit of marketing stuff, and then I launched a leadership training company.
Yep.
That was Girlfriend University and Amplify You.
Read about that.
And that was amazing. Gosh, that's probably one of the most inspiring things that I've done.
That's interesting.
Just really cool working with people,
Yep.
Entrepreneurs, helping them develop their businesses, and then the leadership development was really cool.
I could totally see you doing something like that.
Yeah, that was another great journey. That business was tough, though, because think about this. Okay, so this is how smart I am. So the economy is tough. And
Yep.
so during a tough economy, people don't advertise, right? So if I had been in magazines, it would have been tough. The one thing they do even less of than advertise is invest in their employees for training and leadership development.
Interesting.
So it was a killer concept at absolutely the wrong
Worst
time.
Huh.
But anyhow, so from there, what I did, then I launched a marketing company. So I always go back to
Yeah,
that.
well, and then marketing was good at that point because you had to
was.
start getting things going, and the social media thing was just starting to kick in about
Oh, yeah.
that point. So there was a lot of, people had to get things happening again, and
Yeah.
so you were able to start writing that crest again.
I did. And actually, you know what, an interesting thing happened at that time. So now I'm in marketing, and I've got, decades at this point of marketing experience
Yeah.
and strategy. But so many things were starting to change at such a rapid
Right.
pace with, Google AdWords and Facebook advertising and social media. And I had a lot of peers in the marketing industry, friends that you and I both know, who right about that time were saying, you know what, I'm going to go get my real estate license. I am out. I don't know what in the world is going on.
Where's this all going?
Yeah, where's this all going?
Yeah.
And a lot of them just opted out and just got out of their agencies and completely changed fields. And I had a real serious, very scary aha moment. I thought, you know what? I am about to become obsolete in my area of expertise.
Interesting.
Okay, that can't be
Freaked
good.
you out.
That freaked me out. And I thought, you know what? I am way too young. I am way too energetic to become
Yep.
absolutely obsolete and become a total dinosaur in the field that I'm so good at and that I love. And so I just got super educated. At that point, I'm like signing up for classes and seminars and coaching and books. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to re-educate myself. I almost went back to school. That was going to be the plan. And then I ended up getting recruited for a position to work with a great entrepreneur in this town. In the franchise industry, but I figured that'll be my MBA, right?
Yep.
But I was immersed in hours and hours and hours of learning how to deal with this whole new digital thing, and so I just had to re-educate myself to come out on the other side.
That's good. I mean, that's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people aren't willing to put that forth, that effort, and I think that's one thing I always see in you is that you've constantly reinvented yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, and you never stop. You're always looking for the next edge and the next thing that's coming. And that's why I love hanging out with you, because I feel that energy and that curiosity, and I think that's just
nice.
so cool. So.
Yeah, I've got a real verve for life for sure.
Yeah.
Now, I believe that Iconic Life is going to be a very long-term thing for me. I'm not feeling one bit restless because, boy, I'll tell you, a digital magazine has so much diversity. And
it's endless.
Yeah, it's endless. And it's so funny because even the social media channels are almost like mini magazines to me. We program our Instagram like we're writing a magazine. And then you look at, and podcasting,
Right.
So this version of the magazine this time.
So it's very multimedia. It can be very multimedia.
Yeah, multimedia. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. And then you're also doing a lot of events, of which I was just a big part of one, which I think really helps build your brand too. I mean, I think that was a beautiful evening. I mean, I people stop me all the time, so that was a fantastic party. At Expressions Home Gallery.
Expressions Home Gallery. So it's called Dine and Design, and I did that event with Jason Manzanka.
Yep.
And we started planning that last July, and so you and CP Druitt were cooking your favorite foods.
Cooking our little heinies off.
Oh my gosh, you guys were working so hard. Well, and I was nervous too because I thought, gosh, we need to have like small portions for you to share because we can't have you cooking for this whole crowd. Well, and the event started out, we're going to keep it at 100, then it's at 150, and then it was
close to 300.
Oh gosh, it was over 200 for sure, as we had people coming in and out. But it was.
We planned for 300, so I'm glad I did.
Well, and the food was gone. There was a tiny bit of paella left when all was said and done. The paella was amazing, but that event, it was really thanks to you and CP for just doing such a great job, because I'm going to tell you, everybody wanted to be there.
Yeah.
And we were being very careful with that invitation list to keep it from, becoming just crazy.
Yeah.
And people were like, how do I get into that event?
Yeah.
People really wanted to be there. But the other thing is, you and CP set a really nice collaboration that night.
Yeah, it was fun.
In working together, I had people say after the event, and I don't know if you heard this, people saying, gosh, I felt like the people who were attending the event, the industry people, were more collaborative that night as well, like talking, how do we work together?
Right.
And so isn't that a great thing that you guys inspired?
I think it's neat. And like I'm a member of the ARA, the architecture group, Arizona Architecture Group, residential architects. I want to get it right so Nick doesn't get mad at me.
Arizona Residential Architects.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
And it's fun because we are all competitors in a sense, of course, but we all get along so well, and we help each other, and it's all for the betterment of what we do as a profession.
Yes.
And I kind of felt that spirit that night at the Dine and Design event. So it was fun. It's such a small community that we live in the design world. I know you're touching other parts beyond architecture and construction, and I think that's one thing that kind of intrigues me about what you're doing is how it can link our industry to other beautiful industries out there. So I don't know. I just think I love what you're doing because I just think there's so many avenues that you can go down with it all.
Well, there are so many things. So, I always tell you that I think that you are the poster child for what I do. So living a beautiful life, I think you're the poster child for doing that because as an architect, you are a chef, you are cooking like mad, even as much as you're, drawing and designing houses and you're traveling the globe and you're painting and you're really the perfect poster child for what I'm doing. But I think that it all blends in together, right? Because a beautiful life can be lived in a beautiful space. Doesn't have to be a big space, but in a beautiful space.
Right. And that's what I'm always telling people is like people use the excuse, well, I'm not rich, so I can't do that. And then, from my travels to Italy, and I go to some of these little, villages, and they're living a beautiful life. They're not wealthy.
Yeah.
But they're living a beautiful life with what they have. They're making beauty out of what they have.
Yeah.
And Italian cuisine is a classic example of that. Few ingredients, but done just presented exquisitely.
Yes.
And it's like take that idea and just put it all around you, And what I think it does is it changes your perspective on a daily basis. If you're around beauty and you're creating beauty around you, even if it's small, you're tilting the pendulum a different direction.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes. So it's interesting, too. It also depends on if you're paying attention, too. So for me, and I don't know if it's just how I was raised or wired or born or whatever, but I really savor the little details of design. I mean, even if I paint a wall in my house a color that's just perfect, I don't look at it one day and go, oh, that's perfect. I look at it every single day. And every single day I say to myself, well, that's just perfect.
Yeah.
And I mean, I simply notice these details all the time. For me, I have to live in a beautiful space. And again, not elaborate at all. Right now, I'm in I'm in a small place, but it's beautiful.
Yeah,
And I make
same
it
as
beautiful.
ours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I make it beautiful.
Like, we were renting our place, as I was telling you, and we tore out all the landscaping, had Berghoff come over and re-landscape the whole thing. My landlord thought I was insane, and he says, "Why are you doing that?" I says, "Because I love Berghoff's flowers, and I love his flower beds, and I want to wake up and I want to see that, because that immediately makes me happy."
Yeah.
And so it was little things like that. And it doesn't take a big space, but, I'll spend $2,500 on pansies because it's going to make me frickin' happy.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
Some guys like to go golf. I like pansies, what the hell?
They're beautiful.
Yeah. So you have a lot of energy. You're like me. You're a go bunny. I mean, you're go.
I am.
So how do you relax, and how do you unwind, and how do you chill?
Oh gosh, you know what? Friends and travel are probably the big secret. And
Do you travel a lot?
I'm not traveling as much right now as I usually do, but I love to travel, and I have traveled a lot, and I feel the travel is going to start picking up. A new business is kind of grounds you just a little bit.
Yep.
But I love to travel. I also love to cook, not to eat, but I love occasionally to say, okay, I'm gonna create something here. I like to cook and bake and stuff like that. And I love to enjoy fine cuisine. I mean, if I'm going to eat, I want it to be really good. I love to go to Mark Tarbell's restaurant because it's fine. When I travel, I like to find, the best local places and really savor good stuff.
Great meal.
But great meal. But
so
I kind of wind down by doing the things that I love. One of the biggest things that I do, I'm going to tell you something you probably don't know. So I am an amateur flower arranger.
Oh.
And so I can't even begin to tell you how much money I spend on flowers. And so sometimes I'll go into a weekend and I will cruise by either like the flower place, or you can even get them at Safeway sometimes.
Trader Joe's has beautiful flowers.
Trader Joe's has incredible flowers. There's one Safeway that's got an incredible selection, and they all know me there. And I will go in and buy like a ton of flowers, and I'll just come home and I'm like, these are my friends.
Yep.
I'm bringing my flower friends home, and I'm like, you know what? I put them all in their little buckets, and I start thinking of how I'm going to arrange them, and pour a glass of wine, and I can have like a night flower arranging, and I feel so renewed and refreshed. Like that gives me such joy. Well, a funny thing about these flowers, I give them as gifts sometimes. And so it's funny because one's coming your way. Because Christmas,
we love flowers. Obviously, I just told you about my pansy story.
Yeah,
so
I love to take them around. But I've had people say, Renee, these flowers, they stay fresh for so long. What are you doing? And I said, I don't know. I'm managing the water temperature when I'm getting through them. I said, but I kind of talk to them and sort of handle them in a way because I love them so much. But these flowers are so happy.
Yeah, see? It's that energy.
Yeah. So, and I think the other thing is, when I do travel, I'm a big compartmentalizer. Some people say, "Oh, I'm never off my cell phone or whatever."
Yeah.
If I'm going to travel, I'll make sure that everything's covered. I make sure that Spencer is, in good hands or whatever, and I just put my phone away. I mean, sometimes I just have to do that.
That's
and
good.
It's, I did an unplugged trip once. I went for 6 days.
Wow, that's a
to
long time.
Fiji alone.
Wow.
And I made a commitment that I was going to turn off my phone. So as soon as I landed, I turned off my phone.
Down.
So it was 6.
How was that?
It was incredible. It's interesting because the first day, it's almost like having an addiction, right? You think, oh, I want to call people, I want to text people. Like you want to just like get to that phone. And so you have to just, commit that you're not going to do it. But I kind of let myself wind down. And then the next day, So
what did you do that first day?
So the first day I walked around a lot. I thought, I'm just going to walk everywhere and leave my phone and just kind of walk this off. And then the next day I was on, Fiji time.
Yep.
But I woke up at like 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go sit out on my back, this
terrace.
patio,
Yep.
the terrace that was overlooking the water. I'm going to sit out there in the dark, and I'm going to light a little candle, and I'm going to watch the sun come up. And it was so amazing that that's what I did for the next 6 days while I was there. And again, like I said, I took a solo trip because I had kind of a specific, it was for my 50th birthday. And I had a specific thing I wanted to do for myself, but I specifically wanted to go alone.
Yeah.
And by the second day, I wasn't even thinking about my phone. But when you don't talk to other people,
Right.
and when you aren't engaged in your phone,
Right.
you start thinking about things that
Right.
that you don't have time to think about. And you just start going deep. And I had some incredible epiphanies. By the end of the trip, I'm like, wow, that was incredible. I journaled like mad.
Did you?
Yep.
Yeah.
I journaled every day. And then at the end of the trip, I had a couple of things that I had realized. And so I grabbed a couple little, quote unquote, I called them gifts from the beach that would just remind me of the experience that I had.
Cool.
But it was so weird. I'm sure the people at this, it was a beautiful luxury resort, and we land, and they're like, well, there are 52 guests on property this week. And I thought, well, it's an odd number because I'm the only one traveling alone. And I made sure I wasn't unfriendly, but I didn't talk to the guests
Uh-huh.
because you can yuck it up with anybody, right?
Right.
I intentionally didn't talk to anybody.
You just really kept to yourself.
I kept to myself, yeah, because I wanted to see what came out, and it was a great experience. I'd highly recommend it. Scary.
Yeah,
it was
I've been
scary
to
for me.
Tahiti and those little overwater bungalow things. Those are pretty cool. So that would be neat. So 6 days you did that.
6 days.
Wow.
And then I came back and I turned on my phone and life came back, and it was like, wow, that was amazing. It was, I feel like I really did turn back the hands of time.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So do you have any trips like that planned now?
Oh, gosh, no. I think the next trip, I want to go on your Italy trip.
Yeah.
I think that may be the next one.
That.
Yeah,
the next one's a big one. It's my 60th birthday trip.
I know. It's one of the reasons I want to go. It's going to be a great chance to celebrate
crazy.
you.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that
but,
one.
I've got a couple little quick trips maybe to California, and then I need to. You said it on your podcast too. It's about making a plan.
Yeah.
I need to make a plan and get back on.
Yeah. That's what we're going to do this weekend. We go to Enchantment. We're going to sit down and just kind of plan. We're going to look at the next decade.
Oh,
like,
nice.
What are we going to do the next decade? Because I love the ends of decades. It's like, okay, my 50s are gone, and now what am I going to do in my 60s? So kind of like what you did.
Yeah.
So I got to see if I can totally unplug. That might be hard for me to do, but
if you could even do it, if you and Isabel could do it for even 48 hours and just, you check in, you make sure that everybody's okay and that nobody's going to be looking for you, and then you just turn it off. See what can happen. It's amazing.
I mean, that'd be a great place to do that too, in the vortex,
Perfect.
So what do you do to relax every day? Do you meditate? Do you exercise? What's your ritual?
So I exercise. I love to walk.
Okay.
That's kind of my thing. I love to walk or hike. It depends on where I am. So I try to make sure that I get some movement every single day. I have adopted this philosophy. An interview that I did maybe about 6 months ago with a guy in California, he reminded me of this whole wake up with the world concept. And so now, unless I'm completely exhausted, I try, one of my rituals is to get up before the sun comes up.
Yep, that's what I do.
I go sit in my quote unquote chair in my backyard. Right now it's freezing cold out there, so I wrap up in my robe and my blanket, and I watch the sun come up, and I just, have my moment for gratitude. And then I think about what ideas are coming to my mind for myself, for my son, for my life, for my business. That's and good. Then, honestly, this is maybe not sounding too spiritual, but then I get on my social media because it's a good moment to just knock it out.
Yep, get it done.
And then I'm either getting my son off to school or walking the dog, and so go for a good long walk, and that's very therapeutic.
So you said your son's is 17?
Yep, almost 17.
Yeah, so what's his plans?
He is.
Well, I've got a 17-year-old too. I got a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old.
He's planning to make some plans. Let's just say that.
Well, that's where mine's at.
Yeah, he's a good kid, but he's not sure what his plans are.
Yeah.
You know what? I think as parents we have to give our kids the room to make their own path and make that journey their own. Yeah. And so he's really working to figure out what that's going to look like.
Yeah. Well, the way I look at it too is when I look at my daughter now that's 32. 17 to 27 for them is much different than it was for us.
Yeah.
At 27, you had to have your shit together when it was us.
Oh, yeah.
I already had kids. I had a house. Now it's like, I just heard a podcast the other day. We're on the verge of people living to 120.
Yep.
And so, 17 to 27, if anything, just take the time to figure out who in the hell you really are.
Absolutely.
And don't rush it, So I'm trying to tell my kids, just don't worry about it so much. If it takes you 5 years to figure it out. But don't waste $60,000 a year in college figuring it out.
Absolutely.
Go travel and do things and learn about yourself.
Yeah, learn about yourself and learn what you like and what you love and what your passions are. And the same thing, gosh, you know what? And take your time getting married too, because if you're going to live to be so long, take your time and really know
plenty of time
who you are before you get married.
So, Mom, you're going to be an empty nester then pretty soon.
It's coming. I think the year of 2020 is going to be a big transitional year for me. I think he'll probably still be based, at his dad's house and mine, and in Arizona. I think he'll be home, but it's going to be a different thing because he'll be 18 and he'll be where he wants to be when he wants to be. And let me tell you, that's going to be an adjustment that's going to be tough for this mom.
It's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be really tough.
Yeah, and there's a lot of us that are going through that. Now, are your folks still alive?
My mom is.
Your mom is.
Yep.
And she lived back in the Midwest, or she lived here?
No, so she's here. So after I moved to Arizona in 92, come around like 1995-ish, my sister, I can't remember who moved out first. My sister moved out with her husband, And then my mom said, well, now I'm one of 4 daughters, so 50% of my girls are there. The other 2 were in college at the time.
Yep.
So then my mom said, well, you know what, I'm going to move to Arizona too. And then the other 2 sisters ended up moving to Arizona because basically their room that was in my mom's house in Chicago moved to Arizona. So they sort of got forced into it. But then they both stayed. And so I've got 3 sisters and my mom are here.
Nice.
So it's awesome. Everybody's come out here. And it's funny that there's
cool.
nobody left in Chicago
Do
now.
they live close by or not too far? Or?
Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. Chandler, Surprise,
Oh, they're all over the
Anthem.
place.
I mean, we've got every edge of the city
Yeah.
going.
You got the edge still going, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
You're still on the edge.
I know, still on the edge.
So tell me more about the whole iconic thing now. Where are you going with all this?
Oh gosh, just you know what? It's funny because when you've got a digital publication, it's almost
Right.
like there's nothing that will ever feel like you're at a place of completion because,
Right.
as you were saying, it's so
ongoing.
multimedia. But I've got big dreams and aspirations for what this audience looks like, and it's really cool because we're at about 80,000 unique views to our site, and then
Okay.
our social media channels are doing great. Almost about 50% of that is an audience in Beverly Hills
That
in
was
Southern
my next
California.
question. Is it, I mean, I associate with you Arizona, but you're spreading out.
We're spreading out a lot, and we've got our number 2 market is New York.
Wow.
And so I'm super excited about having that New York audience because that is, of every city in the country, they've got great
Right.
content, right?
Right.
So the fact that they're following and subscribing to Iconic to me is feels really, really good. So
That's great.
we're going to continue to build this out on a national scale because it's a website. We've got the ability to deliver both a local, like if you say, I only want to reach local people, I
Right.
can do that. Or if you want to reach the whole audience, you can do that. You reach the whole audience because you've got clients across the country.
Right. So in terms of like sponsors and events, would you even be looking at sponsors and events then in different geographic locations, like New York, for instance?
I will, yep. And in fact, I've got some ideas for some things that I'd like to do in LA potentially as early as next fall. So we'll
Cool.
start to branch out a little bit. But
Yeah.
what's interesting is I like those really boutique-y luxury events. So like,
Right.
Tiffany had introduced us. She did some content for us for Aspen Food and Wine.
Right.
That'd be a perfect place for
Yeah.
Iconic Life. Barrett Jackson's a great place for Iconic Life here and in the other
Sure.
markets where they are. I think about Napa Valley Wine Auction.
What's interesting for me then as a sponsor is the potential connectivity to clients or people in New York or Napa or Aspen or you know
Absolutely,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
To me, that's very enticing.
Well, they're going to be able to say, hey, I saw you there. The other thing is,
Right.
as you know, we've got so many people moving from California. So
Sure.
by having that really big California audience, you're hitting those people before they're getting here.
Right.
So they're learning a little bit about Arizona before they get here. And we
Yeah,
know
that's
that
cool.
they're arriving. So a national audience is going to be really important for me. Continuing to, just be able to, make a bigger impact with what we're doing is
Right.
really what it is. So
So
it's going to be never ending.
How much staff do you have right now?
So we've made a lot of changes lately. So
Okay.
we started out, we were as big as 8 people at one point, but I have started creating freelance and agency relationships and some of those things to
Yep.
increase the expertise level.
Yep.
I had some people on my team who were, great, but more generalists. So instead of
Right.
saying, okay, this one guy knows 3 things, give me 3 people who are expert in those 3 things. And so really that's been the transition we've made over the last year, and it's made a huge impact. It is, I watch the numbers like a hawk, and it's amazing the growth that we're seeing, especially in the last 3 to 6 months with some of the changes that we've made.
Yeah, so you do have to watch the numbers, right?
Oh my gosh, daily.
Yeah.
Daily.
The numbers tell you everything, right?
Well, and you look at where you're trending, and,
Yeah.
because it's digital, I can't, I don't just say, oh, I'm going to mail this to 50,000 households.
They're just random.
No, random. And it's a very
gotta target
targeted
it.
approach.
Yeah.
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 Super targeted.
So you're watching what the trends are, what your listeners are reacting to, and you try to keep feeding them in that algorithm that's telling you this is what they want to see and what they want to read.
Exactly. And so I'm watching what kind of content they love. I look
Right.
at see what's best performing. How do we deliver more of that? What's the content that is best performing, across the internet in a luxury space that
Sure.
I'm not covering? So there's really, it's more than just saying, oh, I'm just going to, throw a couple
Throw some
stories
out
out there.
Yeah.
Like it's, I've got tons of ideas, but if you go back and you do some of the SEO research, and it's like, oh, nobody is searching for that.
Right.
You
So
know.
what are some of the things people are searching for? that
Well,
you
so
find that are
Wagyu
interesting?
beef is one. Okay,
Wagyu beef's
yeah.
interesting.
Oh gosh, some of our top stories. So funny enough, one of our top performing stories is 10 top Christmas tree decorating ideas. But wait, this is Christmas time, right?
Yep.
Or this is going to air in January. But that story performs year round. So literally all I can think of is getting a collaboration like with Balsam Hill, because I've got a incredible audience that loves Christmas trees. Your architecture stories do very well. And then there's Mike Higgins did some stuff with Modern Farmhouse.
Yep.
Modern Farmhouse is well searched.
Yep.
Spa Trends with a year is well searched.
Interesting.
Some of these specific celebrities that we've focused on, Danica Patrick was very well searched.
Maybe I'll do a little spa story on our weekend coming up here.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And how I'd maybe disconnect.
That would be a great story. That could be your architecture.
That might be interesting.
That should be your architecture because that is living beautifully.
Yeah. So you got these trends, you got all this stuff going on. What's next for Renee Dee? What's your next 10 years looking like?
Oh my gosh. You know what? It's funny because I asked you that question. I thought, gosh, I don't know what the answer to that is. You know what? With real purpose and enthusiasm, a lot of what I'm doing right now, more travel for sure, because I've always been a big global traveler and I've not been traveling nearly enough.
We would love to travel with you. Isabel and I would have a total blast with you.
I'm coming for sure. I've got a special earmark that is going to make sure that happens this time, because we would have a great time. Exactly how you guys lead that tour is exactly how I love to travel. I mean, you're enjoying amazing food and wine. So travel will be big for me. And then continuing to, believe it or not, I'm still in a heavy duty educational process with the magazine. With everything that we do, as soon as you think you've figured out how to do it, you have to keep figuring out how to do it. It's
never ending.
It's never ending because the algorithms are changing and things like that. And I'm really inspired to stay at the top of my game with this digital audience, with the SEO and with all the advertising that we're doing. Because we don't print the magazine, people think, oh, it's super cheap. It's just on a website.
Right.
Ha.
Interesting.
You have no idea the amount of money that it takes to drive that audience to the site, that correct luxury loving audience. And so you mentioned I'm going to be an empty nester.
Yep.
I'm going to use the year of 2020 to kind of see what the next 10 years are going to look like. But I feel a lot. I want to have a lot more exposure to nature too. I love being outside. I love being in the sun, hiking,
it's good
fresh air, being in the mountains. I'm going to be a little bit more purposeful about having more nature time.
Yeah, and that's what I love about the technology now. It's like with me, I can bring my work with me. Yeah. And I can be in a beautiful place. I can be the Muir Woods outside of San Francisco and hike, and then stop and get some work done for a few hours and go back and hike here. Or it's great you can bring it with you. At least for what we do. It's not like I'm framing a house and I have to be stuck on a job site every day. So that part's really. So what stresses you out? What stresses you out?
Oh gosh, that question. No.
You like I threw that right at you?
Yeah, no, that's good.
We're in the Muir Woods to stress. Boom.
So it's so funny when you were saying the Muir Woods, I immediately went to a place of going, the Muir Woods. So I'm really into health and wellness, by the way. So you were saying what's going to happen in the next 10 years, a lot more content and focus on that. Yep. What stresses me out? Saying yes to too many things.
Oh, that's always a tough one for overachievers.
Yeah, that's a tough one because I'm really like to deliver. That stresses me out. And to be honest, ever thinking that, for me, my son stresses me out, but in a way, from a place of loving concern.
Yeah, I know. Trust me. I'll trade daughters for sons.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's stressful to. You want so much for them, and you want them to be happy and successful, and you want to know that you're providing what you need to provide for them. So I find that a little bit stressful right now. But he's doing great, so he probably doesn't need all the worry that I'm putting in his direction.
Mom's worry.
I just have to do it. It's just I feel like I'm kind of wired for it. Yep. And gosh, you know what? I think I'm always in a race against time.
Yeah, time's the biggest enemy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, money is a problem, but money can be achieved. But time, there's only so much time.
Yeah,
that's what I find. We talked about me warping time, which I guess I've gotten pretty good at that.
I'm going to get some tips from you.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it, but time is the toughest thing. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to, you look at all the things you want to do, and it just that time is just constantly going by.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not getting any younger.
No, we're not getting any younger. And maybe that even stresses me out a little bit, too, because I think about all that I want to accomplish. And, I want to make sure that there's plenty of time. But as you know, of certainly your story with you and Isabel is that nothing's ever promised.
No.
So what I really want to do, sometimes being present can even be stressful to say, I just really need to be able to enjoy this moment. But that can probably add a little bit of stress too.
Yeah.
I think I'm very good with my time. I'm almost like I'm really very intentional about how I use my time, but still it seems like it's
You're always
just
very
goes.
focused. I mean, I love that. I love working with you because you don't waste time. You don't waste time. I cannot stand people that I sit there and just like, oh my God, just get to the point, please. It's like it's driving me insane. So I always love conversing with you because it's boom, 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 and we're done.
There we go.
Yeah, we're done. And then we can get on to drinking wine and having a nice dinner.
I know, exactly.
So let's see. I was going to ask you about books and podcasts. Now, we've mentioned it a little bit. Do you like to read a lot?
I love to read.
Okay.
I love to read. So I go through different phases. So for a while, my nightstand was just filled with books, again, health and wellness. So I'm really into like gluten-free and
Are you gluten-free?
juicing. I am, yeah.
Okay, so it's same as Isabel.
Yeah, and I have found incredible results from that. I will tell you, when I go to Italy, and I have this whole belief conspiracy theory about the chemicals here. When I go to Italy... It's true.
Yeah.
When I go to Italy, I eat the bread, I eat the pasta, I drink the wine. Nothing disagrees with me in Italy because those ingredients.
GMOs and all the. Yep.
There's no GMOs. There's none of those. There's none of that glyphosate stuff. All the awful stuff we put in our food. So I feel in the States, I've got to be very focused about what I'm putting in my body because otherwise it doesn't react very well.
I can't quite figure the whole thing out. I mean, I hear it from everybody. How come nothing's changing on this in this country? I don't get it. Do you? I
think, you know what? Oh my gosh, we could have an entire podcast on this. I've done a ton of research on this glyphosate thing and how Monsanto genetically engineered Roundup into corn. And why is nothing happening? Because the farming industry is so big, and because big businesses.
Companies.
These big chemical companies are just making too much money, and there's too many kickbacks and there's subsidies. It's too big for somebody to get their hands around. But when you start hearing things, speaking of being from Iowa, when you start hearing things of people are like, we'll just have organic corn.
Right.
Well, the organic corn is getting impacted by the non-organic corn, and so it's like, gosh, what are we doing to our world?
It's kind of scary.
It is, but it just means you've got to be a little more aware of what you're eating and drinking. But the other thing is, Anita Lang talks about this a lot too. But single-use plastics.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I look at this and I'm like, what the heck did we do to our world with those darn straws? Who knew?
Yeah. No, that's why we're all glasses in this company. We got rid of all the plastic bottles because it's ridiculous. Look at how much waste there was, and it's like, we'll just clean the glasses. You know? And so Janice is so nice. She makes these beautiful mint waters and cucumber waters, and
she's awesome.
We have all kinds of fun stuff like that. So anyway, I have enjoyed this. You're an amazing woman. I love how you never quit.
Never quit.
You've had plenty of opportunities to say, "Screw this, I'm done." Right?
Yes.
Do you ever feel that sometimes? Like, what the hell am I doing? Why am I doing this?
I do sometimes. I have my own frustrations, but I'm more like that little engine that just keeps going, keeps going, keeps going. There are times when I think, gosh, there were a couple of years, where it's like I could have actually earned more money sitting on the couch watching TV, than doing what I've actually done. When you're starting something new, but you know what? I have just such extraordinary belief, and I know that hard work will pay off.
Yeah, you're on the right track. I mean, I see what you're doing with this, and I think there's just enormous potential. Oh yeah, Iconic Life is we're having a really nice 2020, which is exciting because 2 years is about time to get something rolling in the right direction. So I'm super over the moon about that. You've got it rolling, girl. I got it rolling. You got it rolling. Okay, so how do we find you and how do we reach Iconic Life? All right, so Iconic Life is at iconiclife.com. Mm-hmm. All of our social handles are at Your Iconic Life, and you can find my personal Instagram at Renee LD. Yep, I encourage you to go to the website because it is absolutely beautiful. Thank you. It is a beautiful life. Thank you. You are living a beautiful life. You inspire all of us, and I am looking forward to traveling with you. And you and Isabel spending some time together. I think you two would really have a blast. Yeah. So thank you so much for doing this. Thank you. This was a lot of fun. We've had a fun day, haven't we? We've had a really fun day. In fact, literally, I mean, I've got a big hug coming your way because I just feel so much closer to you now. We've had really killer conversation. These podcasts, what a gift that this has just been for both of us. Yeah, and it's great to share. Like I said, it's great for everyone else to listen in and learn, from our lives and what we've done and what has worked and what hasn't worked. And I think it's a great medium. Yeah. So super fun. Thank you so much. Thank you for the pod swap. Oh yeah, we did. Let's see how it goes, huh? Pod swap. Here we go. Such a fantastic interview, and what an amazing lady. Talk about someone who gets it done. Thank you, Renee Dee. Okay, so check out our pod swap by heading over to Renee's podcast, Iconic Hour, and check out her interview of me. A 2-for-1 podcast deal today. So how's that? Sounds pretty good, right? Thank you for your subscribes, your direct messages, emails. You guys are the best, and I'm so grateful for how our podcast has been growing organically. So keep those ratings and reviews coming our way. Please share a link and help us to inspire living.